Welcome to the Oasis. My name is Mike, and today I'm going to be doing another episode of Ask Mike Anything. So once every 4 to 6 weeks, I'll put a post out there on social media and ask you guys and girls to ask me anything you want to know about me, because you guys and girls share so much and sort of interact with me so much in the comments. I feel like I get to know you, but I really sort of want you guys and girls to get to know me a little bit better as well. So in today's episode, I've sort of collated all the comments from the recent posts on social media, and I've put the best ones together. There were so many comments that unfortunately I couldn't answer all of them, but please, follow me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. Obviously, subscribe to the channel as well. I post a lot in the community posts when I'm going to do a session like this, and then you can just throw the questions at me. Also, another one to do is join my Discord server. We've got a really cool growing community of VR enthusiasts over there, and I put the question to them as well, so I'll be answering their questions in this session. So I hope you guys and girls enjoy this one, and I'm going to grab my coffee and jump straight into the questions. So first question is from Tyriel Wood, who is also a VR content creator on YouTube, so if you're interested, go and check out his channel. He says, what is the secret of your beard? Well, it's a fantastic question, Tyriel, and I'm glad you asked. Basically, every night, just before I go to bed, I sit there and I look in the mirror, and then I just go, squeeze really hard like this. And then it sort of just promotes the growth of the beard. It's like a Play-Doh beard, basically. The more you squeeze, the more hair comes out. So if you're struggling with growing a beard, then that is the top tip from me. Next up, from Ted Warnock, who also is the developer of Brass Tactics, by the way. What are the 5 VR-defining experiences that a new audience can seek out if they really want to show what the VR buzz is all about? Well, if I'm ever demoing VR to friends and family that have never tried out VR before, these are kind of my go-to applications. So I always start off with the Oculus Dream Deck and run them through the series of sort of short experiences in there. And it's easy for them to sort of just understand what it's like to be in VR without having to worry about controls. And then after that, once they've sort of got to grips with that and they've seen the T-Rex and sort of had a bit of fun with it, I normally run them through First Contact, which then introduces them to sort of using hands and the controllers. And then once they're sort of a bit more familiar with the controls, then I tend to put them into either Beat Saber, Super Hot, or Total Recall, Robo Recall, so depending on what kind of person they are, So yeah, they're the kind of go-to applications for the Oculus Rift. Right now on the go, showing off Henry is my favourite experience to show off the Oculus Go to people that have never tried VR as well, if you're interested in that. From VR Bug, who is a VR Twitch streamer, you should go and check him out. Have you removed the TPCast from your Rift, or are you still a believer? No, absolutely not. I've still got the TPCast attached to my Rift, and I'm super happy with it. A lot of people sort of were a little bit concerned because in my review of the TPCast, I said that it sort of trim down the field of view ever so slightly, and every now and again you get the slight latency issue, but really those sort of issues are far and few between, and really the slight trim down of the field of view is kind of like, I wish I'd never really mentioned it, because I'm sure people out there that try it probably won't even ever notice it, but it was one of those things that I just had to sort of say. But yeah, I use it as my daily driver, and I wouldn't go back to using a wire anymore, especially for games like Budget Cuts that recently came out. That is a real sort of room scale game. I found that I was really crawling around my environment, getting on my hands and knees, really moving around. And really, I don't think that would have been possible with the wire. I would have felt that sort of consciousness of like, oh, I'm standing on it, or I'm sort of crawling over it, and it would sort of got in the way a little bit. So I'm really happy with the TPCast, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Vive do with their sort of new wireless adapter for the Vive and the Vive Pro as well, because I really think that this wireless technology is the future of VR, yeah, I think for me, I would never go back to a wire unless my TPCast broke or something like that. So I hope that answers the question. So next up, from VR Lifer, a variety of people instantly get attracted to VR, but I see a lot of people absolutely not interested. What personality traits do you think both sides have? Okay, it's a good question because I think a lot of the people that are really interested in VR right now, particularly me and a lot of my colleagues who make content on YouTube, we're kind of all early adopters. You know, I'm the kind of person that really likes to be on the edge of technology. So if there's something new that comes out that's kind of interesting, like home automation or VR or, you know, this new sort of camera or this new phone, tend to be sort of one of the first out of my group of friends and family that tends to pick up these technologies and then sort of test them out for everyone else. And then if I like it, then obviously I recommend it. And that's kind of really how this channel came about. You know, I was so passionate about VR, but no one that I knew was interested in it. None of my friends were interested in it. And I just wanted to share my thoughts on it because I thought it was so awesome. And that's kind of how the channel was born in the very first place. But I think the other side of it are people that just don't want to mess around with things. You know, people that just want to turn on an Xbox or a PlayStation and play a game and enjoy it. They don't want to have to go into settings and calibration and setup and everything else. And I can understand why people wouldn't want that. They just want to get in after a long day's work and just sit down and enjoy an experience without the hassle of it all. And I think really that's where VR is going. You know, certainly with the Oculus Go, you can see it that they've made it so simple to use. And that's kind of the future of VR, I think. So for mass adoption, I feel like it really needs to be simple for everyone to use. But I think we're slowly getting there. And yeah, I think also another barrier to entry, just before I move on, is people not trying it. So I've seen a lot of people skeptical about VR, but generally they've never ever tried it. And then when I've had friends that have come over that have kind of always been interested in VR, but never really tried it, they always walk away with the same opinion. It's like, I can't believe how good it actually was. And that's the thing, like, it's very difficult to portray how cool VR is, even though we try our best on YouTube, for example, to show you guys and girls how cool it actually is without actually trying it. And I think that's probably one of VR's biggest problems right now. So the next question is from John Westra. He asks, will the lack of user account security be a barrier to business adoption of the Oculus Go for VR? Well, the Oculus Go does actually have a security feature, and that is that it's got a pattern lock. And because the Oculus Go is an Android device at heart, it's got the Android pattern lock system. And I've tested it out myself, and it works surprisingly well. I haven't actually put it to the test in terms of its sort of integrity and whether I could sort of bypass it or hack past it, like, you know, attaching it to a computer. I've never actually tried that, but to prevent other people from just putting it on and using it, certainly the sort of pattern lock works as intended right now. But I'd love to know more about that sort of question if I didn't really answer it. So please let me know, John, in the comments down below if you wanted sort of more detail around that, or if you've tested something yourself. I'd love to know your thoughts. A question from Sion from my Discord server, and like I said at the beginning, you should really join the Discord server. There is a really cool group of people that are there right now. They're always interacting, and it's a great way to hook up with people for multiplayer games as well, so go check that one out. But Sion asks, how did the VR Inside podcast come into existence? And it's a really great question because we've been doing the VR Inside podcast now for 41 episodes, and that is just so crazy. And I remember in the very early days of it, Nathie was very keen to do a podcast because we all had these kind of real opinions about the industry, and we wanted to share more about the industry, but we wanted to share it in a way where we weren't just talking about it in videos and going on and on about sort of these different topics. So we thought the podcast and a group of people talking about topics within VR would be a great way to do it. So Nathie was like, oh, I really want to host the podcast on my channel, but I don't want to be the host of it. And I was like, okay, fine. And we kind of just came to this arrangement that I was going to be the host of the show. And it was a really weird and alien thing for me to do because I'm quite an introverted person, believe it or not. Kind of crazy for me to say that when I'm talking to you guys and girls through a camera right now. But I am actually quite an introverted person. And to be a host of a show and sort of really sort of introduce the topics and talk about things and research things was a very sort of scary thought for me. But I feel like over the months that we've been doing it now, we've probably almost been doing it a year, I would say that I've really sort of grown into the role, and I've really loved I really learned to love the role as well. I really enjoyed sort of learning about it. I spend a lot of time before each show researching the topics and getting information from you, and so I make sure that the podcast is structured as well, so it doesn't get boring or it doesn't sort of go off track. So there is a lot of work behind the scenes that goes on with the podcast, but I hope you guys and girls are really enjoying it, because we certainly as a team are really enjoying making it. And it's funny because if you look back at the original episode, you'll see that the original crew was actually me, Nathy, Rowdy Guy, PSVR Frank, and Prometheus. Now, Prometheus just stopped making content on YouTube, and he just couldn't fit it in to his life anymore, and so he's not really around anymore. So, Austin, if you ever watch this, we miss you, dude, and we hope you're doing well. And PSVR Frank, that guy is grinding so hard, it's unbelievable. He works so hard. He's got like 2 channels, he's got a full-time job, he's constantly working, and it just couldn't fit in his busy life schedule. And then I was at Oculus Connect 4 in California, and I met Zim for the first time, and we kind of got to know each other a little bit better. And then I sort of wanted him to be on the show, and he accepted. So now we've kind of got this core group. We've got us 4, and we really feel like we're a strong team, and we're really excited about where the podcast goes in the future. And we've got more information to share about that with you in the near future. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. Next question from Faye Simister. Do you miss me? Yeah, of course. Of course I miss you, Faye. So Faye is like an old colleague of mine, and for those of you that have followed the channel for a little while, you'll know that maybe 2-3 months ago, I left my full-time job to focus on YouTube full-time, which was a crazy step for me. And it's been an amazing and wild ride so far, and I'm loving it. And I couldn't do it without the support of you guys and girls, so I really appreciate it. But obviously, leaving my old job, I left some old colleagues behind, which are dear friends of mine. I've worked for them for many years. And yeah, Faye, of course, I miss you. I miss Nige as well. I saw that he commented as well. So yeah, of course, I miss you guys. And I'm sure I'll meet up and catch up with you guys and girls very soon. So this is a question from Raoul Duke. Hi Mike, my question is, now VR has been out for a few years, would you say that it's had enough time to pass VR as just a gimmick stage, or do you think it's still early to tell? I think we're way past the gimmick stage because, Sony and Oculus and HTC would have never backed these products had it just been a gimmicky thing. I think they're really sort of pushing it, and I think VR is here to stay. It's only going to get bigger and better over time. And I think, we've just got to remember how we're still at the starting line. We're still on the launch pad. We're still on the starting grid, in my opinion, in terms of VR technology. I sort of akin it to, the NES days of Nintendo. This is the first generation products that we're using right now. The first generation. I know they've been out for a few years, but we're still, at the very beginning. And it's amazing to think that even with the first generation technology, the PSVR, the Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, and even the Vive Pro, I would still say that's first gen, how compelling some of these experiences are and how immersive they are and how great the technology is already, straight out the gates. So it's very exciting to see where this technology goes in the future, and just imagine what can be delivered with Generation 2, Generation 3 headsets. It just blows my mind, and I'm so excited about the future. I'm so sort of passionate about it, and I can't wait to share it all with you guys as well. So yeah, stick around, and I'm sure the future is going to be a wild ride for all of us. So question from James Hengham. If you could play one VR game for the rest of your life, what would it be? That's such a great question. I think right now, I would say it was Beat Saber, because Beat Saber's got that kind of infinite replayability to it. Right now, with the modding community, they're sort of adding all these mods, custom tracks, custom sabers, custom lighting, custom avatars. You could spend a lifetime playing that game with all the custom created songs from the community, and you'd have something new to play every day. And you'd get a workout as well, so you'd be incredibly fit and in shape. So I would say if I had to play one VR game for the rest of my life right now, it would be Beat Saber. But thanks for the question, dude. It was a great one. So question from Formed Out of Nowhere. If you could add something to boost the VR experience, what would it be? Definitely haptic feedback. You know, having tried the Void recently in London at the Stratford Centre, I tried Secrets of the Empire, and they had a virtual reality headset and a haptic vest. So when you were being shot by stormtroopers in this experience, you could really feel it. And even a small amount of haptic feedback makes a huge difference. So I'm really excited for sort of like the Tesla suit, for example, and haptic technology where you can actually feel and touch things and get that sort of responsiveness back from when you get shot, or feel a punch or feel a hug or something like that. That's what I'm really excited for, because I think that really adds to the immersion. You really sort of get a feel like you're connected to the environment, the world, and the people around you with haptic feedback. So that is what I'm most excited about in terms of enhancing the VR experience that we already have right now. Next one from Bullet Point Pen. Do you want rooms and arcade to come to Rift? I know I do. Yeah, man, for sure. Like, I don't know why Oculus Rooms and Oculus Arcade aren't on the Rift, because they're such great experiences on the Oculus Go. If you haven't tried Oculus Rooms, I would totally recommend jumping into the Oculus Go and inviting some people, or join my Discord server and invite some people there. They'd be more than happy to come and play some games with you in an Oculus Room sometime. But also, if you've got a Bluetooth controller for your Oculus Go, then check out Oculus Arcade. They've got a load of arcade classic games there, such as Echo the Dolphin, Gauntlet, Streets of Rage, Pac-Man, Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, the list, it goes on, but you know, it's a really great experience playing arcade games, the classics, in VR. So yeah, they really should bring these experiences to the Rift, because I really think that Rift users are missing out on some great experiences being on the go only. Hanks VR, why didn't you get a Pimax M1? Good question. I don't know, because I did back the Pimax, although I wasn't really that vocal about the fact that I'd backed it. I did mention it a couple of times in passing on the podcast, and I didn't ever really engage with the Pimax forums or the Pimax community. I basically backed it because I was just intrigued by it, and I kind of had that FOMO thing, you know, fear of missing out if it turned out to be a really great headset. Whether it will be a success or not, I really don't know. I know that you know, Sweeviver and Sebastian from Mixed Reality TV and Voodoo DE have got the M1 headsets, and they're testing them out. But I think, you know, it's a huge responsibility for those guys. They really need to make sure that they get it right, because the last thing you want to do is recommend a product to the community that turns out to be not so great. So they've got their work cut out for them. I trust them that they're going to do a good job of it. But personally for me as well, like, even if I was selected to be an M1 tester, I probably wouldn't want to. I just want to get the headset when it's ready and then just use it, and if it's good, then I'll show it off to you guys and girls. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned for that one. Okay, guys and girls, so I think I've rambled on enough. I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this session. I really love getting involved and answering some questions for you guys and girls. It really makes me feel more connected to you guys and girls as well, which is great. I really like the fact that we're building a really cool community, and certainly the community is growing over on my Discord as well, where we can sort of interact more, and I sort of share snippets over there as well of what I'm up to, behind the scenes stuff as well. So if you're interested, go and join the Discord server and interact with the people there. They're really cool. But yeah, I really appreciate all your questions. I apologize again if I didn't answer your question on this episode of Ask Mike Anything, but I will be posting again in like 4 weeks, 6 weeks time, and then hopefully if you ask a question again, I'll answer it in the next episode. So leave a like if you like this video, make sure you're subscribed for all my future content, and as always, I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.